I don't know if y'all know, but I have a doppelganger, an imposter Father Cody that runs around this diocese. His name is Father Paul Birdsall, and he is the associate pastor at St. Bernadette. In fact, normally about once a week, someone who doesn't really know me will come up to me and say, "Oh, Father Paul, you're doing such great work at St. Bernadette." The problem is I've never even served at St. Bernadette. I don't even know what the St. Bernadette is. What distinguishes Father Paul and I, what makes us look so much alike, is that we're both very Cajun and we're both very fluffy, as you would say. I said fat at the nursing home on Wednesday, but they told me that I'm not fat, that I'm fluffy, so I will say fluffy now. A couple of years ago, I invited Father Paul to go fishing, and one thing you need to know about Father Paul is he is an amazing fisherman. This man can catch fish in a puddle. He is that good. And so I thought, I'm trying to impress him a little bit. I have my own boat and stuff like that. And so we went down to Dularge, and we started to go fishing, and I made the cardinal sin of launching a boat. I'm sure everyone knows what the cardinal sin of launching a boat is. It's forgetting to put the plug in the boat. And so I quickly realized it. Thank God I realized it. And I screwed the plug in. We put it back on the trailer, and I actually had to drain all the water out. And then Father Paul made the cardinal sin of actually being invited back to go fishing, which is you never catch more fish than the person who invited you to go fishing. Let's just say the exalted was humbled that day. My brothers and sisters, we hear this interesting parable from Jesus Christ, and I think it's an interesting thing for our own times. In our own times, especially with reality TV as we see it nowadays, we hear of people acting crazy. And I think one of the most appealing things about reality TV is we can look at these specific characters and we can say, well, I'm not as crazy or I'm not as bad off as them, right? It's an interesting thing in our culture that we all kind of want to get to heaven, and through some competitiveness, through some kind of just general anguish, we try to get to heaven by pushing the person that's next to us down, as if that's going to give us some kind of boost or something like that. That is the falseness, the horrible prayer that the Pharisee was opening up. It wasn't just about how awesome he was. It was about how more awesome he was than the person next to us, right? It had to be better than him. There was always had to be a comparison. That's something we see even in our own faith, our own life, in this particular church, right? I do things better than this person. We're always trying to compare ourselves to one another. That's not what God made us for. In some ways, you can say that we need to put spiritual blinders on, to where we're not just looking at what this person does and what this person does. Sometimes we need to look inside our own hearts and say, what am I doing? How am I trying to get to heaven? That's the singular purpose, right, is to try and attain the kingdom of heaven in some way. But the truth is, my brothers and sisters, we're not just on this earth by ourselves, right? All of us are here right now. And it's part of our job, and especially the parents here, to get those that are entrusted to us to the kingdom of heaven, right? That is one of the main jobs of a parent, one of the main jobs of a spouse, is to get those that are in my life to the kingdom of heaven. It's not about just tearing people down time and time again. You can say in some ways it's about building them up. The main problem with the parable that we just heard today wasn't just the prayer. It was the fact that there was judgment and there was no action afterwards. There was no, let me encounter my brother even though he is a tax collector. Let me encounter him and see that there must be some kind of spark of faith, right? He's in the synagogue. No tax collectors needed to go to the synagogue. So you can see the sparking. There's some kind of conversion happening within his heart. He is there. And instead, the one who supposedly already had the conversion converted back to spiritual pride, converted back to judging, as if he had figured it all out, as if he was perfect. None of us are perfect. All of us fail in comparison to the crucified Christ. And that's something that we have to constantly remind ourselves, lest we continue to look on our brother, lest we get bored of the spiritual life and start to try to fix other people's problems instead of also looking at our own problems. And so, my brothers and sisters, as we come to the table of mercy, as we come to the table of the crucified Lord, let us remember his works and not just our own. Let us echo the works of St. Paul, all for the glory of God.